everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are so excited today. We are here for week number 5 of Hallmark Christmas Movies 2021. And I can't even believe that we've had over a month of Christmas movies. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, but so much fun. So many fun movies to talk about. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Anne is here.
Hey, everybody.
And Colleen is here.
Hi, everyone.
Yes, thank you both so much for coming on. And we're recapping 4 movies, 1 on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, 3 on the regular Hallmark channel. And it's going to be interesting to see what we all thought. Well, let's dive in. Let's talk Nantucket Noel. This is the first one. This is on the 19th. Hallmark channel, Trevor Donovan, Sarah Power, Fiona Vroom, and writer and director Kirsten Hansen. And it's Christina learns of a developer who is planning to tear down the wharf that is home to her toy store. Tensions rise as she falls for the developer's son, Andy. So, Colleen, what did you think of Nantucket Noel? Why don't you start?
Well, this one was my least favorite of the weekend. It wasn't horrible, but you've said it a million times, Rachel, like the same trope, it just gets old after a while, and saving the wharf of all things, I thought was just a little different. It wasn't something that I was that enthused about. And a toy store, we've seen this a million times as well. And to be perfectly honest, I am not a huge Trevor Donovan fan. I think he's okay, but he's on the lower end for me of the scale. So it was okay. It had some funny stuff, but a lot of it I just wasn't too excited about.
Yeah, Anne, what did you think?
Well, Rachel knows what I thought, but I'll tell all of you. I personally did not like this movie. I did not think that the chemistry was good. I did not think that the writing was good. The dad was so mean. I wanted to put his head through a window. I'm like, dude, you have got to cheer up soon because you're bringing me down. But that's overall what I thought about this movie.
Yeah. I mean, so this movie, I did go into it, and Anne knows this, because everybody was trashing it bad. So I went into it expecting it to be take me to a dark place, the worst movie I've ever seen. We
prepared you.
Yeah, you really did. I mean, and what do they say that is that happiness is experience minus expectations? I think that's accurate. But there are 2 things that I liked in this movie. Everything else about it I didn't like, and I agree with you. The chemistry was not good. For most of the movie, that saved the toy store on the wharf was not good, and it felt like a weird place to have a toy store on the coast. I don't know. I just felt like that was a little bit of a strange thing, and the chemistry not there. The dad was just ridiculous. So mean, even to his granddaughter, he was rude. Things that I can understand how seeing the lighthouse tree topper would bring back the memories and be a little bit sad. I can understand that, but his reaction was just over the top. You think he'd killed somebody.
Yeah, he was so intense.
If you look at the difference between I think Terry O'Quinn in Christmas Sales, which is a similar archetype, basically.
Yeah.
And he was a little bit surly, a little bit curmudgeon, but he was still nice to his granddaughter.
Yeah, he was nothing like this guy.
Yeah,
he was terrible. I agree with you on that.
This guy did not budge. He did not soften. He did not grow. Nothing happened to him. I was like, whoa.
So it made it totally unbelievable that in the last minute he's like, oh, okay,
exactly.
What?
I'm like, yeah, that was crazy. It was not believable. Exactly.
No.
It just switched automatically out of nowhere.
And I do think that Sarah Power has potential. I think she has a good good screen presence when we know that from Good Witch.
Mhm.
But she's always kind of a little bit devious. And on Good Witch, there's like a little bit of a sass to her. And so to see her in this more sort of like really sincere role was interesting. And I thought she did a good job with what
Mhm.
she could, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I hope they use her again, and that we get to see her in more. The things I did like, I thought that the two friends, the two other property owners that went off and made the theater troupe were hilarious. I really enjoyed that. I mean, Fiona Vroom, and I forget the other actor's name. So funny. And like, I loved that whole scene when they're like, oh, now you're bargaining.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
That was really funny. And I have been pretty hard on Kirsten Hansen's writing on this podcast. It's just not my favorite, but I tell you, she's pretty good at writing comedy. Like, I think that she should write comedy.
Yeah, she should stick to comedy. Yeah.
She probably doesn't care what the heck I think, but if she was asking me for advice, she's pretty good at writing comedy. Like last year, Cross Country Christmas was by far the best thing she's ever done.
Oh yeah, it was
by far.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt, the best movie she's written.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then the scenes that worked in this movie were the humorous ones.
Mm-hmm.
By far.
Yeah.
And so I thought that they were funny, and I kind of started a Twitter thread where I was like, let's pretend this movie is about them instead of the characters. It'd be way better.
That'd be so much more interesting.
Yeah.
You have like the plucky duo who's out starting their new theater troupe. I mean, that just screams Hallmark to me. I would totally watch that all day. So I thought that they were legitimately really funny, and they do the Christmas Carol and Stroll, and that was good. And so I enjoyed that. And then I also did appreciate, and I have to give them a little bit of credit for the fact that she has to close the store and move into a new location by the end. Like, that never happens in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Ever.
That was good.
That's true. That's very true.
Like, at least there was like, again, she didn't completely lose the store, but that's like way more stakes than they usually have.
Yeah.
It's so I thought I did think that was surprising and impressive for one of these stories. So I give it slight brownie points for those two names. It is not my least favorite of the weekend.
Oh,
really?
No, it's technically the worst movie as far as well made.
Wow.
But as far as my personal enjoyment, one is lower.
Wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah, we'll see.
You'll see. Yeah, I can't wait to hear this one. Can I just say, Rachel, I know I've told you this because I did a Good Witch podcast with you once. So Sarah Power, I don't know if you ever watched, probably not, All My Children. It was on, a lot for years. There was a character named Sky who looks, I'm not kidding.
Oh,
Sarah Power could be her daughter. I am not. I mean, I swear they give you daughter, and either sisters or daughter and mother. And that kind of character is what Sarah Power's best at. Like, Sky was devious, and like she was.
Yeah, she was. I actually do know who you're talking about because my mom watched All My Children. So I used to watch it.
Yeah. She looks just like her. I mean,
yeah.
It's so weird. So, anyways, I'm like, maybe she could have been a bad developer or something. Maybe that would have been more interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or been involved in that way or something.
Yeah, I remember I saw your tweet on that. They really do look a lot.
Oh my gosh. It's uncanny to me.
Yeah, it's a doppelganger. But it was kind of funny when I was watching. I tweeted out, will they ever make a movie about a kind-hearted property developer? And because that's Trevor Donovan's character in this movie. And then later on in Kiss Before Christmas, it's a kindly property developer. I was so excited.
Weekend. Who knew?
It's a redemption. There were a couple of funny things that made me laugh in this movie. The fact that they had like the smallest patch of ice I've ever seen in my life. When she slips, like it literally looked like they went over to their like fridge, and got like some ice from the thing and spread it out. Like that made me laugh.
And then she slipped on it, that one piece of ice, it's like, okay, wow.
That made me laugh. And the other thing is you can't eat a s'more with M&Ms. That is just
heard of that.
I've never heard of it, and I just don't think it's like functionally possible. M&Ms like roll around.
They would slide off. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. And I was like, I'd be so angry. Yeah. Because it keeps sliding off. Yeah.
It's not supposed to be crunchy in any way either. It's supposed to be a soft snack.
And M&Ms don't melt. Like that's the whole point of M&Ms is they're developed for the army, so that they could have chocolate that didn't melt. It's
oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
Oh wow, look at that. Yeah.
Things I learned from Food Network, right?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
The whole little used to have the whole little slogan was it melts in your mouth, not in your hands.
In your hand. Yeah.
Oh.
For years that was their slogan.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just like what? And I was frankly a little surprised that they used the actual name M&Ms. Like usually they're like, oh, candies, chocolate, candy covered candies, like they'll use like so I'm like, was that some weird product promo?
Oh, maybe it was.
They're like,
maybe that's why they had to do it. Yeah. Because it seems so weird.
Like I've seen a lot of things in s'mores. Like I've seen Reese's cups and Snickers and weird stuff, but you can't do it. It's not possible. So that was but yeah, there's not a whole lot else to say about this movie. They tried to give some like emotion behind her and her mother. And the other weird thing about this movie is how about the meet cute with child shoplifter?
Yeah, that was so weird. I was like, this movie's up to a weird start. And that's how I started to get worried. I was like, oh no.
And the little girl is cute, but I remember her. She was the little girl in that movie Holiday Hearts with Paul Campbell.
Oh yeah.
She was a little bit annoying in that movie. And it kind of carried over to this movie a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't like all the child stars. We'll just say that. They're not all great on Hallmark. Some are better than others.
I remember Elise Murray saying that they told her when she was writing that you couldn't have anybody break the law in Hallmark movies. But I guess that doesn't apply to children. I guess they can break the law.
Because I remember her saying that the Hallmark heroines are not allowed to break the law. And so, the child could break the law, but yes.
What a weird plot point. Like you could have just as easily just had her be like, I like this doll. Can I come here and work so that I can pay for it? Or something like you could have had her do that as a reason for being at the store, or she's just there. Like we don't even need a reason.
Yeah.
She just likes this person, likes the store.
Oh my god.
So that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was a Christmas boat parade, which I was kind of felt like, boy, I kept thinking, boy, are we going to see Katie Sackhoff and Patrick Sabungi?
Oh, that was so good.
I know. I like that. I liked that seaside movie a lot, but this one.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no comparison. That was way better.
I have a really dumb question because I'm completely clueless about the weather in that area. But isn't it snowy in the winter in Massachusetts?
I feel like yes. The only reason I know that is because I've seen like a million versions of Little Women, and it's always
Boston, and I know it's very bad weather up there, and I'm like, wouldn't it hit the seaside too? And I'm like, why is it like fall looking here?
Yeah,
I know it's not really, obviously it was probably Vancouver, but still the point is they didn't even pretend really, except for the little ice patch to have any real semblance of snow. So I thought that's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. I did like the fact that they, again, this kind of goes back to my plus about the fact that they allowed the store to close. I did like when they tell her that you are more than the store. Because I feel like so often in these movies, like there's such a weird obsession with material possessions.
Like, that's true.
You know, that like this property, this whatever it is, this ring, this thing, like that's defined you. And I understand that that would be bittersweet, but the amount of personal investment is something I certainly don't relate to that, because my parents have moved many times. I don't have like a family home, you know, kind of a thing that that I have sentimental attachment to at all. So, and I thought that was a nice moment, I thought, for her character.
I did think that was good. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, this is a movie I will not remember. After tomorrow, I will have already forgotten it. So yeah, there's a critic on YouTube, Jeremy Johns, and one of his ratings is I won't remember this in T-1 day. Yeah, that's accurate. So I would give this movie, I'm going to give it 2.5 out of 5 crowns. What about you, Colleen?
I guess I'll go 2.75.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A little bit more. I like it more than you guys, but not that much more, it sounds like.
Okay. What about you, Anne?
I actually had the same as you, Rachel, 2.5.
Oh, okay. Good.
Oh, that was higher than I expected.
I know.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. But yeah, I was like, okay. I mean, yeah.
All right.
2 is pretty low for me. I'm usually pretty generous, so that's saying something. I can't remember the last time I did a 2 for something. So that in itself is telling you that I really didn't like it.
Well, I'm going lower. I'm going lower today. All right. So we have A Christmas Together with You, and this was on the 20th, and it stars Harry Lennox, Lara Vandervoort, and Niall Mater, and director Kevin Fair, and writer Graham Locke. And it's during the Christmas season, Megan and her father figure Frank head out on a road trip to find his long lost love. Along the way, Megan finds the love of her own life. So, Anne, overall, what did you think about this one?
It's hard for me to say overall, but overall, like, I liked it. I think it certainly has, some flaws and kind of too much going on, but overall, I liked it.
Yeah, what did you think, Colleen?
I liked this one. I liked the idea of the father-daughter kind of friendship that the two of them had, because they were both kind of lost souls and didn't really have much else. I liked that aspect of it. I agree there was a lot going on. The actual meeting with the long lost love wasn't that great to me, but there was enough other stuff in it that kept me interested.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. There's a lot going on. I thought that Henry Lennox was really good. He's a very good actor.
He is.
Like I know he's been in a million things, but aside from his like work in the DC movies, and he's on The Matrix and other things like that, I wasn't like super familiar with him. Like it wasn't a name recognition kind of thing for me, and that's my own failing. But I was just really impressed with him, and I thought that he and Laura had really nice chemistry, and I thought that he had enough chemistry with the woman playing Claire that it worked. It worked for me, and I thought that there were some really nice moments between them, and I really liked the relationship between, like I said, Laura and what was his name? Henry's name?
Frank
guess
What's
and
Frank,
Frank.
Frank
Yeah.
and
So
Megan.
it was
Megan and
Frank.
Frank.
Megan and Frank. I really
Yeah.
liked Megan and Frank. I thought that was
Mhm.
very sweet. This is the kind of movie we could talk about on our On Friendship series, I think, really well.
Mm,
I think it would be a
yeah.
good one for that. And I thought that Niall was charming, and he's always so he's so confident that like it's very, very attractive, I think.
Mhm.
And yeah, his character wasn't given a ton of time, and
Yeah.
it was definitely a little rushed, but I still overall it worked for me. It was a pleasant watch, and so overall I enjoyed it. Yeah, so it was going to be her wedding day, and yeah, evidently her ex-fiance he didn't sound like much of a well, he gives her
Yeah.
the toaster on her
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really
last
not
year for
cool.
Christmas. And as we know from Father of the Bride, any gifts of appliances is always not okay.
Not a good sign.
No, not good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is almost a hard movie to talk about a little bit because there's not like huge plot points. It's kind of just going along for the ride. Like I liked the fact that he had made his own engagement ring and he still
Mhm.
like had it, and that was very sweet. And
That was sweet.
you start to learn that the reason why he kind of gave up on Claire was because that her father had refused his permission, and that was very very sweet. And it's kind of interesting because there's now been 3 movies in this Christmas season that have sort of plots of people join the military and that ruined our relationship. Because you have it in this, you have it in the Lifetime movie this this last weekend as well.
Right.
You make it feel like Christmas. And then you also have it in 5 More Minutes, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I don't know. That's sort of a weird flex, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is kind of weird.
That I would say that the Lifetime one was the best, although I still didn't really understand why she was so mad at him. Like for he comes to get her for Christmas because her dad is being lonely, and she finds out that, oh, this was the plan to come and get me for Christmas, and she's like outraged. And I'm like, I don't really understand why that's
Get it.
like,
I thought it was sweet. He didn't do anything nefarious.
yeah, like he literally was just coming to invite you to a holiday. Like, what is wrong with that?
I know.
So and she was so mad. It was interesting. But anyway,
I can't trust you. And I'm like, what?
yeah, I can't trust you. What? Anyway, I liked the caroling scene in this. I thought was nice.
But that was that's a nitpick for me, or it's not a nitpick. It just crushed me. When he starts singing and she just like cuts him off, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to cry for this man. Like, geez.
Sure.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. I'm like, this scene would have worked so much better if she would have like had a positive reaction. Like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, yeah.
that's true. Yeah,
Mhm.
he asks her out, and then she's obviously, we know that she's super upset with him, because then she goes into when he asks her out in the nursing home, she goes into the other room and is like, deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's
Yeah.
like, I won't let you break my heart again. And I do feel like this type of melodrama you almost never see with people this old,
Yeah.
ever. I
That's
mean, very
true.
rarely,
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of
Yeah.
like, by the time I feel like sometimes
Yeah.
by the time you're old, it's just like, because when you're young, it's like, well, should we wait? Should we experience more things? Should we do more things? Should we take this risk? But by the time you're old, it's not really a risk. Like, what are you risking?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like, just go for it. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel, but I'm sure by the time I'm old, I might feel differently. Who knows? But it is very rare. You don't normally see that. And it all started kind of awkward when he thinks that Ethel is her.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Which was weird. She like
And
gives
then he
gives
never
her the flowers.
explains like that he really wasn't there. You know, he was really there for her and not
Yeah.
to see Ethel. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird.
Yeah. And then yeah, when she says, I won't let you break my heart again. And then he says, well, maybe if I sang better. I'm like, oh, that's sad.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh.
You also have this whole thing with Niall trying to help his parents run the business. They bought a lodge or something. I was a little bit confused about what was going on there.
he bought it, I believe. I guess he heard that they were, I don't know if it was going to be sold or I don't know. I don't understand what happened, but he bought it to help them.
He
I think
bought
that,
it and then
yeah.
they're working there. And then at the end of the movie, they're like, we don't want to work here anymore. We want to retire.
I know all these
Right?
people want to retire from their inns,
Right,
just like
that's
Coyote
exactly-
Creek
Right,
Coyote
because-
Creek Christmas. Military and give up your inn to retire. Okay, we got it. This is
Yeah.
some themes here going on.
Yeah. How about the super gratuitous green bean casserole montage?
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
gosh, it was terrible.
Oh. It literally just made me think about how much I really hate green bean casserole.
You do?
I
love it.
do. Oh, that's so funny. I've only had it one time and I was like, ooh, this is not for me.
Oh, I
don't-
love it.
I don't mind green bean casserole, but I can't eat it anymore. It's too salty for me now. But maybe I could have a little taste, but I have to be pretty careful with the salt. But yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was pretty
Like,
intense advertisement. Yeah, it's like, okay, we get it.
the Campbell soup cans, like it was like a glamour shot. It was,
Yes.
We're like, they paid a pretty penny for this because this
Yeah.
is, very, aesthetic here.
Mhm. Yeah. And then they have this whole like pass the ball game with in the carnival,
Oh, yeah.
where they end up they land kind of cozy on the snow, which I always love that. I'm a sucker for it. I think it's so like I can't imagine a single instance in life where that would actually happen, where it's just like I'm on a subway and I get bumped right into this person's arms like perfectly, or I fall off a ladder right into somebody.
In
It's
real
so
life, they'd be
ridiculous.
ready to smack you or something. That's just
Oh,
how people
yeah.
are
Yeah,
these days. It's like, what are you doing? You trying to steal my stuff or get away from me or whatever. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. That's how some people would be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and rightly so. It would be you'd be bizarre. You wouldn't like stare into each other's eyes and be like, oh, but I just that's why I think it's hilarious and I love it. It's one of my favorites. And then we have the veterans lunch. That's where we get the green bean casserole. I should have asked Adil when I interviewed him about him playing the saxophone.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking that when I was watching it. I was like, I wonder if he really plays this.
Yeah, I'm like, because I feel like maybe he might, because it was not like necessary to the story,
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
as opposed to like when someone's playing a violinist or something like that. And so, I wish I had asked him about that, but
I did enjoy seeing his character after
Yeah.
hearing the interview. I enjoyed seeing him, and like I
Yeah.
could imagine hearing his voice. I was like, oh yeah, he's, and I was like, oh, he's so funny. Like he's
I
great.
loved his interview. It was one of my favorites of the whole year. He was so funny and charming, and
Yeah.
I now feel very motivated to have him and Donna be in a movie together.
Oh,
It
that'd
would
be great.
Wouldn't they be great?
They would be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have such chemistry and be really funny and
Just funny. Yeah.
yeah. So if you're listening, Hallmark, make it happen.
Yeah.
And then he says to Niall's character, he says that that Megan has a sensitive soul, and he says make sure you are repaying her for all the right reasons. So because she had done this whole dinner thing, and so then we have him he writes Claire a letter, and he says, what if you give me another chance? And then they have one dance for old time's sake, and then he gives him gives Claire the engagement ring, and that was cute. And the whole thing when they're leaving and the dog is in the car, I'm like, that could be dangerous. Like all of a sudden I was driving and there was all of a sudden this dog that I didn't know about.
Oh my God, I would freak out.
I'd probably crash the car. Yeah, I'd be freaked out. Like, it starts barking or something. I'd be like, oh my God, what is happening?
Yeah, and then Claire's there and says, I never wanted a diamond ring. All I wanted was you. Very cute. And then Laura comes back and Niall says, you came back. I don't want to spend another day without you. So there we go. So Colleen, what would you give this movie?
I liked it. I thought Harry Lennox was great. I agree. I liked everything about his character. I don't think he did anything wrong in my view.
Yeah,
and I did like the pseudo father-daughter relationship. So for those reasons, even though there was a lot of other stuff that sometimes bothered me, I'm going to give it a 3.5. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the same. I will give it 3.5. It's not one I'm going to remember, not in the same way of Nantucket Noel, but I know I just feel like it'll kind of blend into the masses. But I didn't mind watching it and it was fun. So what about you, Anne?
Yeah, I would give it 3.25. The only other thing I would say is it just felt like it was just doing so much that it was like Laura and Niall's storyline felt like so minimal.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any other way they could do it, because it just, because the A storyline to me was Harry's character and Laura's character, and the B storyline was Harry's character and then the actress who played Claire, and the C storyline really was Laura and Niall.
Yeah,
I like them so much, so I just wanted to see them more, but it was just I understood why they couldn't. I mean, it's just a lot.
I think that One December Night had similar kind of themes. You've got sort of the older generation, the younger generation, and kind of working everything out. In quite a few character arcs and things. I think that handled it a lot better. And developed the relationships better, and
yeah.
So
I agree.
Balanced everything better. I agree too.
Yeah.
Hey Hallmarkies, it's time to take a quick break to talk about something super fun. How would you like to party with your favorite celebrities from the Christmas and seasonal movies that you love so much? If you enjoy watching romantic dramas on network television and streaming services, you don't want to miss the Rama Drama live event coming soon in 2022. Spend the weekend escaping into the Rama Drama world and meeting your favorite on-screen celebrities like Trevor Donovan, Ryan Pavey, Andrew Walker, Jen Lilly, Wes Brown, Brittany Bristow, Aaron Cahill, Rob Mays, and more. These fan-focused in-person parties cater to movie lovers just like you. Make memories, leave with photos, autographs, swag, and an exceptional experience to last a lifetime. Join us in Palm Beach, Florida on January 7th through 9th, 2022 at the Palm Beach Convention Center. You can get more information and your tickets from ramadrama.com. Again, that's ramadrama.com.
All right. Well, now we have 5 more minutes. And this was on the 20th, Hallmark Movies Mysteries, starring Nikki DeLoach and David Hayden Jones. Inspired by Scotty McCreery's song 5 More Minutes, a woman's Christmas wish is answered in unexpected ways when her late grandfather's journal turns up and reveals an untold romance. So I'll go first on this one. Since you both gone first. I did not like this movie. I like a lot of elements of it, as far as, I really enjoy Nikki. I think she's great. I thought that I was going to be really emotional about the whole thing with Grandpa, because I have a very, very close relationship with my grandpa. He passed away in 2002. And so the whole idea of like having 5 more minutes to talk to him was very like kind of both sad and made me kind of nervous to watch the movie because I was like, oh, this is going to be emotional, but also like appealing because I felt like I could emotionally relate to that. And I was really disappointed that I know that we technically got a scene with the grandpa, but like I wanted a scene where like maybe she had a dream or something where she got 5 more minutes with her grandfather in the way that she knew her grandfather. And I felt like that's what was promised in the movie. And I hated the romance in this movie. I thought it was terrible. I thought they had terrible chemistry. I thought they had, I mean, the whole thing that she's basically, she should have just said right away to Blake that she was not interested when she saw that ring box, because this whole thing, and she's dating this other person when she goes home, was really awkward, and it wasn't needed. Like, you did not need Blake there for the story.
There's
like,
no reason.
There was no reason. And I've been forgiving more than I probably should be of some stories where there's the emotional cheating. Like usually if it's just like a super bad man of business, then you can be kind of like, whatever, I can kind of just shrug it off. But in this case, he was a nice person and you literally destroyed his Christmas. I kept thinking about how in Trading Christmas, like he is, which is my favorite Hallmark movie, Tom Cavanaugh's character is all traumatized because his girlfriend left him on Christmas. And I'm thinking, this is what Nikki DeLucci is doing to this person.
Yeah, exactly. She is. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like creating a Tom Cavanagh. And I just thought that was really selfish of her. And I did not think that they had chemistry. I like both the actors individually in other projects. This just didn't work for me. And I just felt like emotionally it did not pay off the way that I wanted it to for this kind of a story. That, I mean, I'm not that familiar with the song, but I just felt like that we should have gotten 5 more minutes with her grandfather, and I should be like in pools of tears on the ground because I love, because that premise is so like, it's just made for me. And so when it was just so flat, I was disappointed very much. And I also thought it was weird, the fact that, I don't know, maybe it's just because her mother had silver hair. I kept feeling like I kept having to remind myself that was her mother and not her grandmother, and that she had been taking care of her father-in-law. And then there was this whole dating thing with her and Edward. And that was like more pleasant to me than the whole rest of the movie. But because, I don't know, I just kept feeling like,
I actually had the same thing. I kept having to say, okay, wait, no, this is her mom, not her grandma.
Yeah,
that's why it's okay for her to date this man. He didn't just die 6 months ago or whatever. I kept thinking like, oh my gosh, but I kept doing the same thing.
Too, because the grandfather was probably the same age, and the actor is probably in the same age range as the guy that the mother was dating, and the mother's probably the same age range, was throwing me off completely. The guy that has to be the grandfather is a father usually on these movies. He's not a grandfather. Like, he's not a grandfather of an adult child.
That's very true. That's probably why I was so thrown off. Yeah.
Yeah, that threw me off totally.
Well, and the whole thing with, I thought Martha Tompkins, that didn't really pay off, like emotionally. Like the whole thing with finding Claire in the previous movie was way more sort of emotional, and like you actually had a character. I was like, why are we spending this time looking for this woman that, like, there just was no payoff, I thought, with that. And then like what they did with Jay was in the movie so little that it felt like a cheap trick, the end. Oh, okay, so that's Jay. But like, it didn't have the emotional heft it needed to because we'd barely seen him. So I don't know. I just did not like this movie at all. I didn't think it was good. I'm going to give it 2.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah,
Rachel really did not like this movie.
No, I did not. I did not like it. It's one of my least favorites of the year for sure. I don't know. Didn't like it. What did you think, Anne?
I mean, yeah, for me,
give it?
Yeah, for me, the big thing is I really couldn't stand, like you said, the emotional cheating and the fact that she just knew so early in the movie when she saw the ring box, she knew she should have broken up with him. And she just kept leading him on and not wanting to answer his calls. And her mom kept saying, well, what about what's his name? And, it was just so like emphasized. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't she just break up with him then? Or why did she just have no boyfriend? Because this is just, I can't be invested in the romance because I'm just so mad at her that she's doing this whole
Yeah.
time. So that just really blocked me from that. I didn't, I liked the, journal and that, and that Jay was the grandpa that, that was all fine for me. I thought Nikki's performance with what she was given, she performed what she was given very well. And so I would give it a 3.
What do you think, Colleen?
I feel like I'm in the middle of the two of you. What's interesting is a few hours before I watched this movie, I had a conversation with my sister, and she's a Hallmark fan. And she was going on and on about how she will not watch this movie because she doesn't care for Nikki DeLoach. And I'm like, I brought that into the movie. I couldn't think of, I was trying to like separate that conversation. It was just a funny, we were just talking about, we rank the movies and we have a conversation every so often about the movies, but I brought that into my watching of the movie, but not so much, but that was one thing. But like, I agree the emotional cheating was bad. Don't lead somebody on like that. I agree there was no chemistry. And this was David Hayden Jones's first Hallmark in how long? And I was kind of bummed that he got. I do think Nikki, I think she recently lost her father. I think this movie was probably filmed after that. I almost expected it to be more emotional, like you said, like more emotional, but it really wasn't. I just did like a weak script or whatever. I'm gonna go 2.5.
Don't you think that if they had had one scene where she's talking to her grandfather that we see in flashbacks or whatever, like through a dream or some other convoluted reason, that they come up with, a magic journal, whatever, that would have made, at least to me, I think that would have really brought it all home, as opposed to just talking to Jay.
Saved it.
Yeah, it would have been a lot better if it would have had that.
Can I just mention one more thing? So the guy who plays Jay, he looks like a young John Ritter. Like all I see is John Ritter. Do you remember John Ritter? You know me, I'm always seeing people, they look like someone else. He looks like John Ritter to me. That's all I can think of was Jack Tripper.
Yeah, I can see that. And I do think that now we've had 3 marriage and crisis / emotional movies in a row. And I think that it would be fun to see her, just for some variety, to see her do like a Summer Nights movie where she just has fun in Hawaii. Let's
please bring some levity. Oh my gosh.
Maybe that's why my sister doesn't care for it, because she's always so, it's always like really depressing lately. And I'm happy into it. That's probably part of it.
There's because there's Under the Rains, and then Cranberry Christmas, and then she
United
had
at Christmas, which I actually
Reunited.
Like that one.
Yeah, that one was good.
Two Turtle Doves.
Two Turtle Doves.
She's been on a strike of, geez, so
Love to the Rescue like had some humor, so that was probably the last one, and that's one of my favorite Hallmark movies. But yeah, I know she can do the funny. She's been on sitcoms and stuff before, so I think that it's time.
We need a break. Yes, please give us something very light.
Exactly.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Okay, so now we're going to A Kiss Before Christmas. This was on the 21st on Hallmark Channel. James Denton, Terry Hatcher, Mary Lou Henner, director Jeff Beasley, writer Mark Arnotto, and Tracy Ann Drain. Okay, when nice guy Ethan casually wishes his life had taken a different course, he wakes up the next day to find nothing is the same. He's not married to his wife, Joyce. He doesn't have 2 teenage kids, and he's the CEO of his company. If he wants to reclaim his original life and the family he loves, he must convince Joyce he's telling the truth and win her over, and he only has until Christmas Day. So, Colleen, overall, what did you think about this one?
I enjoyed this one. This was good. It was a great cast. I love James Denton. I just think he's great. I really liked Terry Hatcher in her Hallmark. This was her Hallmark debut, right?
Yeah, hard to believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it is.
I really liked her. Mary Lou Henner, I thought of you, Rachel. Every time she was on, I thought of you. She was great. I mean, with what she had, she wasn't in it a ton. I liked the story. I thought it was clever. I enjoyed it. It was the best one for me of the weekend.
It was funny with Mary Lou Henner. Like at the beginning, you think like, oh, she's maybe they're trying to sell her as being this kind of mean boss person. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to make me believe that. She's too nice. but Anne, what did you think?
I liked it, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Like the whole, it kind of always bothers me that, it's a human condition to just think that something else is better than what you have. I get it. But I just don't really like it when they have to go and, find it out. But I thought it was just done so well. And that, James's character really turned at the right speed for me. Because if he kept not getting it for a long time, I know it was going to bother me. I'm just that kind of person. It was going to really irritate me. So I think he turned over a perfect pace. And it was really fun that he brought Terry into the secret and told her, and they could have fun with that too. And yeah, I thought it was just well written.
Yeah, this was really well written. I completely agree. And I was thinking about that, with movies like The Family Man, which this is kind of similar to, and they've done variations on that kind of trope on Hallmark Channel from time to time. The problem with that movie, even though I enjoy it for what it is, the problem is that all of the relationships that, when they get this alternative life, they're all not real. Right. So if, for instance, Lacey Chabert has one where she goes back and sees what if she married this person and then she has these kids and all this stuff. But the kids aren't real. The husband isn't real. It's it's whatever. It's this alternate dimension. In this case, it was the reverse. Instead of being given a new family and seeing, oh, what would have life been like if you'd made these other choices? He had the family and then it was taken away. So you're not investing in people that don't exist. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really smart. And I don't know. I just really liked it. I thought it was so charming. And I thought that James Denton was perfect because he sold that kind of slick businessman. He's supposed to be a property developer after all. he sold it, but he also sold the sweet, loving father, the frazzled. I mean, and this definitely has some feelings of It's a Wonderful Life in there. It's got, the Family Man kind of moments too. And it just really worked for me. I really enjoyed it. And he's really frustrated because there's this guy Sean who seems to always get the better end of things, despite the fact that he cuts corners and is rude and is difficult. And it was, I thought that whole dynamic of, because that's real, bad people, unlike in most Hallmark movies, bad of business don't always get punished as they do in Hallmark movies. They're a lot of times very successful at what they do. And so that can be frustrating when you see people who are cutting the corners and aren't doing things the way that you think that, is right. and yet they seem to be getting the benefits, and then you can feel jealous. So I thought that was a pretty realistic dynamic. He wants to provide these things for his family. He wants things to be better. Now his wife is talking about going to law school, and that is, he's supportive, but he's also kind of nervous because it's a lot of money and everything. So he makes this wish, and I guess let's talk a little bit about the Santa in the movie.
I know.
The Santa, if James Denton's character hadn't been successful in this quest, like, the Santa is a villain. He's like ruining this man's life. Like, it's bad. And so if there's a Hallmark or horror moment in this episode, that is definitely the Santa.
I mean, yeah, like half the time when he sees him, he's like back in the, back in the back of the scene, just staring at him like creepily. It's like,
right. Like stalker Santa. And I'm like,
yeah,
what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. And so when he makes the wish, he wakes up and he has this fancy office. He's got a Ferrari, and but the family's gone. And he says, being a good guy is what has held me back. So what he thinks at first. And
I hate that he said that. I mean, I'm glad he learned the error of his ways, but just that he said that, made me so sad.
Yeah. What made me laugh, though, that coffee maker, that was really funny.
That was funny.
Yeah. And so then he tries to get back in touch with Joyce, and she's an successful attorney in this dimension, because in like the regular life, I thought it was a little bit confusing. If I was going to nitpick, like, if she was, because why could she just be a teacher? Like, you have to have the degrees and stuff. Like, it was like, oh, I'm not going to go to law school and I'm going to be a teacher instead.
Maybe she had an undergrad. She had to have had an undergraduate in something if she was going to go to law school, but I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I guess maybe she went back to school and got a teaching certificate.
Yeah, must have.
Something. It was a little bit weird, but that's an extreme nitpick. I liked when he also was just sort of amazed by the shower. He's like,
oh yeah,
that was funny to me. But he sends Joyce all of these poinsettias, and I kind of liked that she was just like, oh, well, we got more poinsettias all over the office.
Yep, send them here, send them here.
And then he takes her to get her favorite hot chocolate and go to the tree lighting. And she says, well, rich guys like you have resources. That's how you know all these things about me. Mm-hmm. But there's the whole thing is this destruction of the youth center. That is the big debate, I guess, going on. And like, one thing, if they're going to build this, they're saying that's $1 billion, this business complex. But they say they have this other land. And if the youth center is falling apart, which they keep saying that it is, would it be better to build a new youth center in the other land? And then, because it's always more expensive to renovate than to build. So why not have the youth center be built in the other land and have the $1 billion office building there?
Yeah,
that's what I would do. I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering that too.
I mean, I hate to be on Team Sean, but probably be a good way to go. But they create this charity, and one thing I really appreciated is the fact that, so she overhears and thinks that the charity is a sham. That's Sean's talking about how it's just a PR stunt, not a sham, a PR stunt. She hears this, she's upset. She goes outside, and he says, oh, no, you're wrong. That's not correct. It wasn't a PR stunt. And she was like, oh, okay, I agree. I believe you. As opposed to 99% of these movies where she's like, wow, how could you lie to me? And storms off and makes like this huge event of it. Mm-hmm. I just appreciated the fact that she was like, okay, I've gotten to know you. I trust you. You say it's not that. I agree. Because I hate that in these movies. So I kind of liked their dynamic at that point. I also liked that somebody, because when they first said at the beginning of the movie that the Christmas party is on Christmas Eve, I was like, what office building does that? And then towards the end of the movie, she's like, who has their big gala Christmas party on Christmas Eve? And I was like, yes, thank you.
I appreciated that.
Yeah.
I mean, every time there's an event on Christmas Eve, I'm like, all we ever did on Christmas Eve was go to church and had dinner with our family. And that was it. It was always family. You didn't go out to other events.
Yeah, never. Like maybe shopping. That's the only guy I can think of that
during
maybe
the day
we would
too.
do.
Like before 5, you're home by 5 or 4 or 5, and then like my Christmas party is on December 8th. I mean, that makes more sense.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way everyone says. Nobody has their Christmas party on. And yeah, in these movies, they always have like the big project is due Christmas Eve, and like nobody has
the day after Christmas to start your new job. I'm like, seriously, everyone's on vacation that week.
Yeah. Yes. What were you gonna say, Anne?
I was just gonna say, yeah, like I'm always thinking, do people really have this? And I'm like, I don't think they do. People are off work. It's Christmas. Like they're not gonna have these crazy deadlines and all this stuff, right? You know.
Even Hallmark Channel doesn't even have anything on Christmas Eve.
I think exactly.
I forget what point they start rolling the fire
log.
The Yule log. Yeah. But they find out that the Mary Lou Henner character that she's going to give them the money for the center, and she says there's hope for you yet. And then he's like starting to forget, and I thought that he did a good job with that, like the panic that you would feel.
Yeah, he really did. He really sold that.
Mm-hmm. And when he sees his kids every time in this movie, this is the emotion that I wanted in 5 more minutes. That got me. And especially when he sees them with the other parents, like that was a good moment when he sees them when they're and he's like, I've got my kids, and then of course when he and so then Joyce is like that is trying to get him to remember. He says, I can't just lose them. They're everything to me. I want my family. I want to be a good man for them. Oh, so good. That's always such really like it's such a sexy thing when a man says something like that I want to be a good man for you. Like it's like as good as it gets, and he's like, Jack Nichols, I want to be a better man. You make me want to be a better man. So good. It was great. And then the Santa Magic, and he's back, and the first thing he does is he thanks his associates that were just kind of ignored, thanks them for doing a good job. And then Sean, he's like, she's just an old newsstand lady. And then Mary Lou Henner, she's like, you lied to me. I want you gone. It's like, yes. And then James Denton gets the promotion after all, reunites with Joyce, and he says, I know you and I love you. So I thought they had great chemistry. I thought the whole family had great chemistry. I just loved this movie. I have to dig pretty deep for any real problems for if you're judging on what it's trying to be. Yeah, it was pretty good.
I just looked it up because I didn't watch Desperate Housewives, but they were married on Desperate Housewives.
Oh, were they?
No wonder they had.
I was gonna say they were. Yeah,
they were fabulous. I mean, their chemistry. Looks like that show ended in 2012, almost 10 years ago. They did really. I mean, it's like they didn't skip a beat. No, I assume they had great chemistry on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made a joke that they were like, oh yeah, this Hallmark bedroom scene isn't like the bedroom scenes we had on Desperate Housewives. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it's not. I remember. That was funny.
Yeah. So I would give this a very high score. I'm going to give it a 5. A rare, perfect score. Wow. I have such minimal flaws with it. I enjoyed it so much. It had such heart. This such great chemistry. I mean, is it technically perfect? No. But for what we expect, for what I'm asking out of these movies, it kind of was, as far as what it's trying to be. And that's what I always try. Like when I'm, as a critic, when I'm looking at a film, I always ask, what is it trying to do? And did it do it? And I think in this movie, it absolutely succeeded in doing everything it was trying to do. It was so charming, even down to like, I thought it was filmed well. I thought the music was really good. I just really enjoyed it. So it's getting a rare 5 from me.
That is a
Wow.
statement.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Yes.
talk about a pendulum swing from 2.5 to 5.
2.
Yeah.
That's right, 2. That's right. She had a 2. Oh my gosh.
Is this your
Yeah.
first 5 of the season? I don't remember.
Yes, this is the first. I gave Christmas Promise a 4.9.
And
Oh,
you
that's
love that
right.
one. That's still my
did.
favorite of the season.
I loved it. I did love it. I
That's
can't remember. There was one
right.
thing, and I can't even remember what it was. That was like a small demerit, but I loved that movie too. So, Colleen, what are you going to give it?
I really enjoyed it. Not quite 5 material, but I will give it a 4.25. I thought I had a lot of heart, and it was really well done.
What about you, Anne?
Colleen and I are the same. Yeah, 4.25. That's what I said.
Very good. Very good.
Very
So
good.
we have some comments on Twitter. Brian R, he says that he liked the story on Kiss Before Christmas the best. 5 more minutes, I fell asleep and I must rewatch, but it's also not what I want with this Christmas with my recent family losses. The other 2 are forgettable. Lopier says, really enjoyed A Kiss Before Christmas, and I don't usually like the travel back in time to alternate reality stories. So major kudos to Tracy and Doreen. And of course, the amazing cast. Saturday's night's movies were fine and did not care for Nantucket Noel. Yeah, Tracy and Doreen is the true star of this episode. Major props. Caroline, she says, our friend says she would rank them Kiss Before Christmas, 5 more minutes, Christmas Together with You, and Nantucket Noel. I was pleasantly surprised with Kiss Before Christmas. And our friend Cami Clements, she says, Kiss Before Christmas, a tie for A Christmas Together with You and 5 more minutes, and the last Nantucket Noel. So there we go. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Hallmarkies Pod, because we like to ask kind of what you're thinking, and we'd love to hear your feedback on the films. And make sure that you check out our Patreon group. We have a special promotion just this week that you can have Tyler Hines or Christopher Paloha or Brendan Elliott read your voicemail greeting. So when people call you, they will think that they are your best friend. And it'll be super fun. If you sign up for the Patreon, then you, for every $1 that you sign up, you get an entry into this giveaway, and it's going to be super fun. I'm really grateful for them for being willing to do this. And also, if you just want a one-time donation, that's also an option. If you go to ko-fi.com/Hallmarkies, you can make a donation there, and we'll have all that information in the description. But sign up for the Patreon. It's super fun. We have watch-alongs that are really fun. This month, we are going to have David Weaver, director, on, and we're going to be talking about Christmas Town. We're going to watch it and get all the behind the scenes details. It's going to be super fun. And we have those every single month. We have all different other kinds of perks. So come for the giveaway, but stay for the fun. And you have until the end of the day on Black Friday to sign up and be part of the giveaway. So please check it out. We would be so appreciative. And all that said, Anne, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at awscott21.
Great. And Colleen?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lily44094.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media on iTunes and YouTube and Rotten Tomatoes. So please take a look at that. And also make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We so appreciate it. It helps people to find the show. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the merch store, which has tons of holiday inspired festive designs that you can get all different kinds of things, not just shirts, but notepads and phone cases and all kinds of fun stuff. Please take a look over there. We would sure appreciate if you're looking for gifts for the Hardy fan in your life, for the Postable, all different stuff over there. So take a look at the link in the description. And thanks so much, ladies. This was so much fun. I love talking about these movies with you. And let us know in the comments section what you think of these 4 films. We would love to hear. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.